Hey guys, Sugar Daddy Shaves here, and I am going to put this video out as an answer to somebody's question. So it's not one of those where I've done a ton of research and I'm speaking really authoritatively. This is primarily an answer to somebody's question about the Pereira Bowl versus the 3D bowl that I use. And so I'm going to be sharing some information about this bowl, and some of you guys may like it, like to see that. I'm also going to be sharing some information about bowls in general. And so there's that may be handy for you. The Pereira information that I'm going to be sharing is stuff that I've gotten off their website. And then I'm going to make an educated guess because I have not actually used the Pereira Bowl. I don't have it. Let's answer a quick question in the beginning of, am I interested in ever getting one? Yes, I think I am. I wasn't prior to today. I've definitely seen some photos, some SOTD, shave of the day photos that really show the brush sitting in it, where I just felt like it was a little too small, a little too narrow, probably deep enough, but a little too narrow to give me as much room as I want to generate a full four passes of lather. And so I have put it on the, I'm probably not interested in this section of my mind for a while now. But after doing the research today, I really might actually get one at some point and try it out, bring it to you guys, show it to you, and then if it turns out I don't like it very much, I can just sell it or something like that. So that's the kind of the TLDR, the too long didn't read summary right there. Now let's dive into some of the details. The Pereira Bowl is unbreakable. That's a really nice thing going for it. It's not going to shatter and become a mess if you drop it in your sink, like a ceramic type bowl from the Dollar Tree might. It has a thumb loop. This has a thumb kind of device there, but when you're rinsing out a bowl, the thumb loop makes a really good handle so that you can maneuver it really easy without fear of dropping it. Now, during the shave, I have never really needed a loop. I have tried a couple of bowls that had them, but everything I've ever tried has been able to sit in my hand, and I've liked that a lot better. I definitely, that thumb loop kind of makes it look like a coffee mug. I definitely don't put my finger through it like a coffee mug and do it that way. That's just too much leveraged, to try to hold on to. And so I think if you have a loop, then you're usually going to hold it like that. And it does give a nice secure hold. And so if you have fingers that maybe are arthritic, or you have some kind of issue with your motor control, then that thumb loop could come in great use when you're actually in the shave. But for me, not yet. It does have ridges inside, and they're kind of spirally, kind of like this one, except these are kind of pointy. They rise up to a sharper ridge, and then it's got this lump in the middle. I'm very happy about that. The Pereira Bowl has some multiple lumps around there, so I think it's a big plus, the texturing they've given inside the bowl. The brush rest that they use is a trough kind of bowl, like the bottom half of a PVC pipe or something, whereas this one has accommodated every single brush handle I've ever tried. The Fine Accoutrements Lather Bowl has that half pipe similar to the Pereira Bowl, and I have had brushes that I'm afraid I don't have a brush handy, that have when you come away from the bristles, it has a big lump, and then it's got the rest of the handle. Depending on where that lump is, it may not balance properly. And so it could actually not stay in that half pipe because that lump is not at a good central point because of the weight of the lather and that sort of thing. Whereas this one, whether the lump comes in this saddle or whatever, wherever it comes, it's always balanced. I've never had a brush, and I've tried 40 or so brushes in this thing, and it always works. So I think this is a better design for the brush rest aspect. However, I think it's better than nothing having that little trough on there. So those are a few of the pros, and the one con it might be a little narrow, maybe. It's deep enough, but it might be a little narrow. It is 7 centimeters high by 15 centimeters wide. And if you count the little handle, according to Pereira's website, it's 20 centimeters in length. And that is surprisingly close to this bowl here. Now this one has more of a inturned lip here that gives it more room. And so I believe it has the advantage. Now let's talk about the small bowls. I abbreviated SM, so that made me think of smart. Small bowls, there are some advantages to bowls that don't quite have as much capacity as I might normally like this one. They are great for jump starting a face lather, and I'm thinking about bowls like this. This is the same size as the original Captain's Choice bowl, which I find very small for most applications, except for these few applications. If you're a face lather, but you just kind of want to jump start your lather in a bowl like this and quickly then move to hydrating it on your face, it's good for that. It's good for samples, pressing some samples into the bottom and then working up kind of an early lather and then switching to the face, just like we mentioned before. It is, or just being a loading bowl where you're a face latherer, or you switch to a larger bowl to actually mix up the lather. It would contain a big pressed in sample that you would go to daily for maybe 2 weeks until it took you to use up the sample. If you had a very tiny brush, I did find a little small bore brush that I was able to use with this, and the brush was so small that there left room in the bowl for a lather. If you like making tiny circles and getting some kind of repetitive stress injury, then a small bowl can be fine for that. If you have a brush with a low splay, or you like to mix up your lather without splaying the brush very much, then smaller bowls could work for you. All right, so those are some things that jumped in my mind as far as people who may get some use out of a bowl that wasn't as huge as the ones I like to use. All right, so now let's talk about the dimensions. The Pereira Bowl, according to Pereira's website, is 7 centimeters tall. And my bowl, because Noob asked me to compare the two bowls. So let's just compare the dimensions. 67 millimeters, so almost 7 millimeters tall. So the Pereira Bowl is a little bit taller, just a tiny bit. Now that can come into play, because the taller it is, the deeper it is. And then if it's too deep, your hands are contacting the sides of the bowl, and your fingers sometimes, the lather has to climb up, and sometimes your fingers get messy. I watched a couple of videos online. Donald Youngner, I believe, might be an older silver-haired gentleman. I saw him work up a lather. He used a lot of soap, so he likes his soap more dry than I do. He pressed a lot of some kind of cream into the bottom of his bowl, and he worked it up with a kind of a small badger brush. And so either small or average to small size badger brush. And in that case, if you had that kind of brush, I think the Pereira Bowl might be a really good buy for you, a good option. Okay, so height is very similar. Mine's just a little bit lower, and I'm glad it's not any deeper. I am. The outside diameter, 15 millimeters. Oh, and for you Americans, it is 2, and mine is 2 5/8 inches high. All right. The outside diameter of the bowl in metric units is about 155 millimeters, 15.5 centimeters, and 15 centimeters. So mine's a little wider. So mine's a little shorter, tiny bit shorter, and a tiny bit wider. And I believe that probably makes a big difference for my style. It might be fine for you. But for me, I think that is probably a better measurement. So 15 millimeters is the outside. So mine is just a little wider. And so that may be where I get, matter of fact, Donald, the reason I brought up his name, you could hear as he was mixing his up, he was banging the brush up against the side of the container several times. And I don't think I ever do that with this bowl. I don't think we really need to talk about the 20-inch because that's where you're looking at including the length of that handle with the loop, the brush rest there. I mean, that's not really going to affect the performance of it as a lather bowl, so we can move on past that. Now, here's something interesting. The West Coast Shaving site has a little bit of a typo on their site as of today. I went on there and they said the interior diameter was 12.5 centimeters. And the interior diameter in standard is 5.4 inches. Those don't equal up. 12.5 centimeters is closer to maybe 4.8 inches or something like that. So one of those is wrong and one of those is right. I think we're talking about the 12.5 centimeters is probably the right value there. So there is a little bit of a discrepancy on the WCS website. And so visually, I've definitely seen some shaves and photos where the brush sitting in the bowl did seem to be too big and there wasn't as much room for the lather. However, let's look at a cup and on Donald's video, he takes the Captain's Choice bowl and puts it up against this bowl here is a bowl from the Dollar Tree, and it's almost exactly the same size as the Pereira Bowl. So you want to try out the Pereira Bowl for size, then get this guy from the Dollar Tree. Distributed by Midwood Brands, LLC. Made in China. This may have been gotten at Walmart or something like that. I'm sorry, my camera doesn't focus very well close up. And he held up the two bowls, Captain's Choice, and they were about the same size. So you know what? He must have been holding up the large version of the Captain's Choice bowl, because this one is identical to the regular or original size of the Captain's Choice bowl. This is a Chinese knockoff, but it's the same identical dimensions as the regular size. So he must have been comparing it to the large one. So basically you could think about it as a large Captain's Choice bowl with higher sides. And that's kind of what I was hoping, what I would be asking for if I tried the large Captain's Choice bowl. Because those low sides, it just lets lather fly right over. All right. So both this bowl and this bowl were obtained, I believe, from the Dollar Tree. And this one's a little bit taller, but in all other respects. Now, notice this one kind of goes down before it kind of swings in. This one is more of a V shape than a U shape. It angles first, and so that could make a difference in the capacity and things like that. But I recommend visiting Walmart or the Dollar Tree and getting, write down the measurements of the Pereira Bowl, or just listen to me and write it down. 7 centimeters by 15 centimeters. Take a ruler with you to Walmart or the Dollar Tree, and I believe you'll be able to find a bowl that is similar. So you could give that guy a try and see. Don't think about what kind of lather you're generating. If you go to and evaluate it, I would think about your hands. Think about how well your brush works inside the bowl. I would think about how much room the lather has. When you build up enough lather, does it overflow or does it stay in there? Does it make your fingers really messy? Those are the things to think about. And so if you start out with a couple of these bowls, then that may give you a very good idea with how the Pereira Bowl is going to treat you. I believe that's about all I wanted to cover. it looks like it might be really close to a bowl that I might be happy with. It may be just a little bit smaller than what would make me happy, or it might be just right. It could also be a bowl that I might enjoy with like the smaller half of my brushes. So with that in mind, I think I might definitely pick one up if I see it on the used market, which I haven't very often at all, maybe once. So that's probably not going to be where I get it. I'll probably have to buy it new. But I think it would be one I'd like to give it a try someday, next year, maybe a year after that. You know, just whenever I had a little bit of maybe birthday money or something like Christmas money, a little treat for myself, and then be able to bring it to you guys, show it to you. There are a few videos out there if you want to type it up in YouTube. There are definitely some that show you how to use it. All right. Well, hopefully, noob, this will help you to maybe figure out what you'd like to do. They're both kind of expensive options. This 3D printed bowl that I use and the Pereira Bowl. And so if you want to grab one of those couple of Dollar Tree brushes, that might be a good first draft, a good test to see what you think about that size. So there we go. I hope this helps. And for you non-IH noob folks out there, I hope my answer to him helps you in some way. And I hope to be able to bring the Pereira Bowl to you guys in person sometime in the future. All right. Take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.